Ukraine has been battered with multiple missile strikes as Russian troops attempt to advance in the east. 32 missiles were launched in the early hours following a pattern of heavy aerial bombardment on the battlefield, but only half were shot down by the Ukrainian military. Russia is currently focusing on taking the city of Bakhmut, which could give Moscow a stepping stone to advance on two bigger cities further west in Donetsk. Russia has been intensifying ground attacks across southern and eastern Ukraine in recent weeks as a major new offensive looms. Meanwhile, NATO alliance nations have been ramping up production of artillery munitions for Ukraine for an anticipated counter-offensive in the spring. Let's get more. Will Denslow joins us live from Kyiv. Will, more missiles we heard there raining on Ukraine as a potential Russian offensive seems to be nearing. What's the situation on the ground?
Jill, there were air alerts across Ukraine overnight. Here in Kyiv, the air alert systems went off around 2 a.m., lasted for a couple of hours. And just a couple of hours ago, there was another brief air alert here in the nation's capital. Of course, as you rightly mentioned, a number of missiles have been fired from Russia, 32 in total. We're hearing from Ukrainian officials, 16 of which are believed to have been shot down. It's understood that critical infrastructure was hit in a number of regions. However, the message from Ukrainian officials is that we won't expect any significant power outages as a result of these latest missile strikes. Now, looking forward to the one-year anniversary of the full-scale invasion on February 24th, well, we've heard from Alexei Danilov. He says, and he is the Secretary of National Security and Defense Council, he expects Ukraine to brace itself for what he describes as a massive barrage of Russian missiles around the anniversary. Jill?
NATO member states have been ramping up their production of weapons for Ukraine, but as it stands now on the ground, how are the forces coping with so-called reported shortages of munitions?
Well, fierce fighting continues on the ground in the east of the country. We've heard from Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. He says that the strategically important city of Bakhmut has become a living fortress. He says the situation there is difficult as Ukraine continue to fight off fierce Russian offensives. Now, of course, there has been reporting from Russia's defense ministry that they broke through a couple of lines in the Luhansk area. Ukraine saying that they are still holding firm in those territories as well. So interesting information coming from Ukraine's allies, stating that around 97% of Russia's army is currently operational in Ukraine, stating that a massive amount of Russian tanks have been damaged or destroyed so far. We've heard from CNN's reporting, quoting senior US military officials, saying that any efforts from Russia to push and make major advances in the coming weeks is more aspirational than realistic. But, of course, as far as Ukraine is concerned, there are real concerns about the shortage of ammo, like you mentioned, those fears that they're burning through ammunition quicker than it can be supplied. This week, we've, of course, had NATO members discussing that very topic. That is something they want to see ramped up in the coming weeks. Of course, as far as Ukraine is concerned, they want to see more weapons as well as ammunition come into the country, not only to help repel any potential Russian advances, but also to aid Ukraine should they push ahead with their own counter-offensives in the coming weeks too. Jill?
Well, Denslow reporting from Kyiv. Thank you.